So Donald Trump on the campaign trail has now made a statement regarding Nancy Pelosi and made the statement that he might, when he becomes president, look into investigating her insider trading. So here, this is from the Vigilant Fox, saying that Donald Trump calls for Nancy Pelosi to be prosecuted for insider trading. This is at Trump Tower in New York. Fox News covered it. Listen to this.
Nancy Pelosi has a little problem because her husband sold their Visa stock. They had a lot of Visa stock one day before Visa was announced that Visa is being sued by the Department of Justice. Think of that. Nancy Pelosi sold vast amounts of Visa stock one day before the big lawsuit that we all read about a few days ago was brought against Visa. You think it was luck? I don't think. She should be prosecuted. Nancy Pelosi should be prosecuted for that. And Nancy Pelosi has a little...
So it's kind of bittersweet, this statement here. It's bittersweet because I'm glad that he's saying this. Like, this is pointing out the obvious thing that, yes, Nancy Pelosi being the insider fundraiser that she is. You know, she likes to use that word, fundraiser. We all know what that means. Pointing that out and showing that how illegal it is to do these insider tradings and what a double standard sets when she's doing it, but people like Martha Stewart and other individuals that have been caught in the past, you know, you even look at other countries. In Iceland, they prosecuted the bankers all across the nation when they screwed over the people of Iceland and misguided them. And in the United States, and sadly even here in Canada, because there's some individuals that take part in this as well, insider trading just keeps on flourishing. And to quote the words of, you know, former President Truman, the only people that make money while sitting in office are crooks. The people that make the most money in office, not because of fundraising, not because people adore them so much that they're giving them more money. It's because they're crooks. It's because they have deep connections inside the deep state, Wall Street, huge banks, business opportunities abroad, the military-industrial complex that flourishes off the pain and suffering of everybody else. And that is what Nancy Pelosi is all about. Nancy Pelosi and the Pelosi family has a dynasty in illegal insider trading. So at least Donald Trump is willing to admit that. However, I don't see this happening. You know, take an instance on the many times they said, you know, I'm going to look into Hillary Clinton's files. We at least exposed her for the crook that she is, for how terrible and a career criminal and a political malice she is to the entire system. But did she get prosecuted? No. Did she ever get a jail sentence, even a hearing? No. None of that. Because everybody there, everybody within the system has some sort of criminal conduct. It's all part of a system. They're not going to prosecute one of their own, sadly. And that's what makes this so devastating. But here's what's happened in this case. So Visa, as reported here in Yahoo Finance. Oh, I don't know why that. So, according to this, it says Nancy Pelosi's husband sold Visa shares 2 months before a DOJ lawsuit. Some say the trade should have been even allowed, according to MoneyWise Yahoo Finance. So, Nancy Pelosi's husband dumped 2,000 Visa shares in July, just weeks before the payments giant was sued by the U.S. Department of Justice for monopolizing the debt markets. The timely trade, which documents show was worth at least $500,000, has once again set the rumor mill running about the former White House speaker and her venture capitalist husband's investment strategies, which have been netted them an impressive 9-figure net worth over the years. Again, you don't make that kind of money being a public servant. You don't make that kind of figure working for the people. You make that kind of figure when you sell out those people and aid to lobby firms that pay your salary. You do that when you're a crook for Wall Street. You do that when you deliberately go against your own constituents. That's how you get a 9-figure salary working in government. Some believe the pair have too much influence and institutional knowledge to trade fairly. In the case of Visa, potentially helping them to avoid a drop in stock value amid the DOJ lawsuit, but they have repeatedly brushed off any allegations of wrongdoing. Pelosi's spokesperson has said multiple times that the Congresswoman does not own any stocks. The money moves are made by her husband, Paul, and as is required by law, she then discloses trades to Congress via periodic transaction reports. Here's what's gotten critics so riled up. The DOJ filed a civil antitrust lawsuit against payments giant Visa on Tuesday, September 24th, for an anti-competitive conduct in monopolizing the debit market. It claims Visa illegally paid its rivals to keep them out of the market and hinder innovation. As a result, it holds about 60% share of the debt payment markets and earns about $7 billion annually in debt swipe fees, per the DOJ. We allege that Visa has unlawfully amassed the power to extract fees that far exceed what could be charged in a competitive market, says Attorney General Merrick B. Garland in a press release announcing the lawsuit. Merchants and banks pass along those costs to consumers either by raising prices or reducing quality of service. As a result, Visa's unlawful conduct affects not only just the price of one thing, but the price of nearly everything. Visa stocks stumped shortly after the DOJ's announcement, but unlike some investors, the Pelosis came out of the dip without too much pain. That's because Paul sold 2,000 Visa shares worth about $5,001 and $1 million on July 1st, 2024, according to Pelosi's Congress filings on July 3rd. The trade was defined as a partial sale, meaning he did not unload his entire holding. There is no public indication at the time of the transaction that the DOJ was preparing to sue Visa. This case bears some comparison to other well-timed trade Paul made in December 2022 when he sold 30,000 shares of Google stock just 1 month before the tech giant was sued over alleged antitrust violations. And why was this all allowed to happen? Well, because when Nancy Pelosi was Speaker of the House, her and her constituents inside the government, inside, the lobby firms and corporate finance and Wall Street, all enacted a law that allowed this to continue on. They were trying to stop insider trading, and Nancy Pelosi and her constituents vetoed it. They allowed it to continue on because they said it violated free speech. It violated her consent. I do this off the side. This is not, anything to do with the government. Why are these people picking on me? Sorry, I was trying to do a Pelosi impression. I don't really do well with her. There is a growing chorus of Americans who think lawmakers and their spouses should be banned from trading because of their unfair advantage they have as well-connected people with the inside track on legislation that might affect a company or industry. Christopher Josephs, a tech entrepreneur who runs the Nancy Pelosi stock tracker on X, is firmly on that camp. On X, he highlights politicians' trades so we Americans can invest alongside, or even better, than get them banned from trading. On a post on Monday, September 23rd, one day before the DOJ filed the antitrust lawsuit, he described Pelosi's timely sale of the Visa shares as wild. But in a follow-up post, he was quick to state no one's proven she trades on insider info. In effort to put an end to the suspicion around the Pelosi's trades, her spokesperson stated that she has no prior knowledge or subsequent involvement in any transactions. But yet she holds power enough to oversee Wall Street. That's the big takeaway from this. That is the big tell. That's the smoking gun. She is doing trading while she has a position of power that oversees the stock market, oversees the finances of Wall Street, and does the bidding work of Wall Street. Ergo, she is flourishing herself by having insider information because it's part of her business. It's part of her job description. That's how she's such a great fundraiser. She doesn't fundraise for you, but she definitely flourishes herself. Ron Gaffner, a former enforcement attorney with the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, acknowledged that sometimes politicians' conflicts can be called into question when they disclose trades, but he encouraged Pelosi's critics to consider the context behind her disclosures before jumping to conclusions. Well, we shouldn't be jumping into conclusions, but considering this is an ongoing problematic situation, especially regarding the Pelosi's, I think it's fair to take the latter on this one. I think it's fair to say to jump that bandwagon and understand that they are doing this because they are crooks, because they have insider trading. They have the business insider because of the position of power that they're in, because they're able to change the laws and flex themselves to flourish themselves financially, that they're able to do this. And this happens to many politicians without any question, without any accountability whatsoever. And this is not the first time even for Pelosi. This happens numerous times. She got caught numerous times way beforehand. And here's even an instance back in 2008 where, once again, this is even involving Visa again, right before the financial crash of 2008, where Nancy Pelosi, being Speaker of the Democratic base, was investing and sold stocks out of Visa before they were about to crash. And here's a clip from 60 Minutes back in the day when reporters actually called out on this.
I wanted to ask you why you and your husband, back in March of 2008, accepted and participated in a very large IPO deal from Visa at a time there was major legislation affecting their credit card companies making its way through the House. And did you consider that to be a conflict of interest?
I don't know what your point is of your question. Is there some point that you want to make with that?
Well, I guess what I'm asking is...
I don't know what your point of the question is. I just don't know. I don't know. I just came back from having a few drinks with other Democratic members. I don't know what your point is. Like, are you trying to say that I'm a crook? That's her reflex. That's what she goes to. I don't understand your question. I don't understand your question. He makes it perfectly clear. I understood it. You understood it. She doesn't seem to get it. But she's playing to the theatrics of not understanding it to get away with her crimes. Let me hear that again.
I wanted to ask you why you and your husband, back in March of 2008, accepted and participated in a very large IPO deal from Visa at a time there was major legislation affecting their credit card companies making its way through the House. And did you consider that to be a conflict of interest?
I don't know what your point is of your question. Is there some point that you want to make with that?
Well, I guess what I'm asking is, do you think it's all right for a speaker to accept a very preferential and favorable stock deal?
Well, we did.
And you participated in the IPO.
Well, I have many.
But we did. So that's what I'm saying. We did. But we did. We took this stock deal. They, corruptedly, and they bribed us, and we're just on top. Okay, like why you have to ask those questions? Why do you have to ask those questions? So there you go. the Pelosi family is a corrupted, evil, criminal dynasty in politics, much like the Clintons, much like the Obamas, much like the Bushes, much like really any other, the Bidens, Kamala Harris, you name them, they're crooks because of how influential their power is and their connectability to Wall Street to be able to do these insider trades on the whim. And they're able to get away with it because they are the same members that can enact laws. They're the lawmakers. They could just say, well, it's legal for us, but it's illegal for anybody else outside of Washington, outside of politics. It's illegal to do insider trading. But for me, because I'm a lawmaker, I could pass forward a bill to say that it's okay for me. And no one's the wiser. And sadly, after how many times now that we've seen the Pelosis do this misconduct in regards to insider stock trading, it's sad that, none of the journalists took action like this guy did back in 2008. This guy at least had the ability to at least step forward, take his chin down and go, do you not think that's a conflict of interest? Do you not think that's very, very undemocratic of you, that it goes against the means of government representation when you're taking an insider deal with Visa? That you and your husband are flourishing yourself with these corrupted deals on behest of destroying any sort of ability to govern correctly? Like, do you not see that as a conflict of interest? I don't understand question. I don't understand the question. Let's see the rest of this, actually.
At the time you were Speaker of the House, you don't think it was a conflict of interest or had the appearance of a conflict of interest?
It only has appearance if you decide that you're going to have elaborate on a false premise. But it's not true, and that's that.
I don't understand what part's not true.
Yes, sir. That I would act upon an investment.
So then she goes on defense of, well, that's not true. That's not true. But it is true. The guy stated that. It was referred to many different media outlets on this groundbreaking scandal. People are well aware of it back in the day. And her defense is, well, it's not true. I did not act on Visa buying me out. That's what her defense is. So I took the money, but I didn't actually do anything that would be considered a bribery or considered corruptive. Yeah, I just took the money and left. I didn't actually give them favors. I didn't push any motion to make sure that Visa continues to monopolize. Oh, wait. I've been doing that for years. To the point that now I've, once again, got myself red-handed. It's like her husband's, mystery love bang burglar. Remember that? The guy that came to Paul Pelosi's house and tried to crack his head open, but they were also half naked and invited. There was a whole slew of a story with that. And all, Nancy and her husband just said that, oh, that's such a fable. That's misinformation. People don't understand. This guy was psychotic, even though he knew exactly where the Pelosis were. Came in the front door. When cops showed up, Paul Pelosi was, holding his hand like there were two lovebirds coming out of the honeymoon suite. You get the picture. And corrupt families do what corrupt families do best. They lied to the general public. They lied to reporters, and they find a way to gain the most power so that they could create the laws to continue flourishing themselves with their criminal activity. That's what all this is. So it's nice to know that Trump is acknowledging this. I'm glad for that. Just like I'm glad, he's acknowledging, the troops in Syria, why we're over there, why there's so many bases across the world, why we're doing all the heinous stuff that we're doing on an average basis that not a lot of people understand. But at the same time, he didn't prosecute Clinton. He's not going to prosecute people within the criminal oligarchy because Donald Trump, and I feel like now after being almost killed twice, is folding himself more and more to that establishment. I hate to say it. I hate to burst that bubble for the MAGA people or the Maha people, but I don't see Donald Trump being that savior because he was able to go. He was president for 4 years, and all the things that he promised in the campaign that made him such a great populist, pretty much went away the minute he walked into the depths of hell. I mean, the White House. Sorry. And just like AOC, just like the Squad, just like Bernie, just like, eventually they all sell out. We see their true colors and call them out for the disturbances that they cause to the rest of the people.